Hello, my friends. Welcome to the latest edition of Here's What We Know and the podcast of unexpected conversations. But here's the thing about Chris Salcedo. If you watch Newsmax, if you listen to his show, if you listen to his podcast, you know who he is. And that's why I'm excited about having him here. Chris, how the heck are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invite, man. I appreciate being here.
You're one of those guys. You're one of the busiest people I know. I mean, literally, when we came on, Chris was sitting here typing, and I'm like, my goodness, the guy's writing another book. And we'll talk about your new book right now.
Yes. Hey, but by the way, Gary, I'm sure you're equally as busy, but I mean,
well, only because I have a 13 and a 15-year-old.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness I shouldn't say thank goodness because I'm missing those days, but mine are. I have one left in high school, and then one that's about ready to graduate from college, and then the oldest is already off making a life, going to be married, and all this kind of lovely stuff. So
because you got started on the normal time frame. And my son asked me one time, he goes, "Why did you wait so long to have kids?" I said, "Dude, it took me that long to find your mother."
Yeah. Well,
I was always searching.
I gotta tell you that. What is is it the Garth Brooks song? Thank God for unanswered
prayers.
Yep. That's so true.
Yeah, it is. And it's awesome. You would have the background. You have a radio show, but you started off as a weather guy. I just want to do a little quick recap because I want to there's so many topics I want to get on, and you are so busy. But my goodness, you did the jump that most people can't. You know that, right? I mean, most people don't start off in weather and then jump to where you got.
Actually, the story goes back even further than that. I got my first job in radio. Do you remember the show Northern Exposure? Did you ever see that?
Rob Morrow and Kathleen, what was her name? Kathleen, it was then Turner, but yeah, I loved that show and the little radio station.
Yes,
the guy on the radio station.
I got a job at a radio station in the foothills of San Diego, a little place called Santa Isabel, which is right at the base of the mountain. For those of you who know the inland valleys of San Diego, the mountain region, I should say. Right at the base of the mountain before you make the climb to go up to Julian, the home of the Julian apple pies, there's a little place called Dudley's Bakery, and our radio station was there. It came online. It was a Class C radio station that was coming online back in the day. And on a whim, my mom said, "Hey, come on, you want to be acting? I mean, this is maybe one step into it, getting you into media in general." So I said, "Okay." So I went and just begged to clean toilets or run food for the jocks or do whatever. And I got my first internship, got it for 6 months. And then after 6 months, I was starting to read the news as I was typing it. And that was the beginning of the broadcast career.
The hardest part is getting in it. And then the second hardest part is showing up.
Yep.
If you can just show up, especially those careers, you and I got in such a great time that you had a chance to get in and work your way up. And if you were willing to work hard and do everything, you could create a career. I mean, I've been doing this. I started at 13, right?
Wow.
So I've been doing this for a long time. But you had that chance to do it. And I love this. Guys who have radio backgrounds who end up in TV, you guys are so smooth. You know why? Because you've had everything thrown at you at the moment, right? Think about the most mistake-free guy I've ever seen in my life is Ryan Seacrest.
Really?
The dude does not flub. He does not flub. I've seen him live. You will never see him go through that like I do, right? He is perfect, always. And he attributes it that he started off in radio as a fat kid in Georgia. Right?
And Crest was a fat kid? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Ryan Seacrest? I don't think. I know we, like all of us, I saw a picture of him the other day. I said, "That's Ryan Seacrest, huh?" And he's changed a little bit, but I could never imagine him as a fat guy. But, I have a lot of guys in my career too, mentors, individuals that I've looked up to in television and radio, both, all very, very smooth. And maybe it's our own psychoses. I don't know. Because you never really think you measure up to your mentors, no matter how much you achieve. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And and
we all had, who was that guy for you? Our girl, who was that guy that you're like, man, for me, it was Larry Lujak, WLS Super Jock.
Wow.
Right in Chicago. And I would listen to him. I'd get up early in the morning. I grew up in South Alabama. And I grew up early in the morning and I would get up. I had a little AM radio and I could listen to Larry Lujak for 30 minutes before the sun came up and the signal dispersed. How about you?
I had several mentors throughout my life at different stages of my life. There's one guy that I was producing radio for. His name's Cal Walker. And here was a guy that quintessential broadcaster, traffic reporter, but also had his foot in news reporting as well, because so often as you were doing traffic, you became the number one news guy on the scene when major incidents happen. And I was out working in San Diego. I mean, when the branch wasn't Branch Davidian out there, it was
Waco.
That was Waco. That's
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. That's the one. It was the Heaven's Gate issue that happened out there. It was us. We were there first, or my Cal Walker was, and I was producing for him at that time, getting all the information. And he was the liaison to all of these radio stations who we would normally just do traffic for, right? But then he became news guy. Then he became all around discusser. He had access to the air traffic control towers. He was talking to during major fires, air attack. He was talking to police helicopters and aircraft. So this guy was plugged in. He was the best at what he did, and it wasn't just that he was a great traffic reporter, which he was. He was the one who mentored me and said, "You've got to be diverse. You've got to read the opinion section in the paper. You've got to have more exposure to different ideas, different aspects, different careers, you got to be well-rounded." And it was he who sponsored that in me. And several other mentors at various parts of the career. The guy that got me started in radio, a guy by the name of Kerry McGurk, at the time was twice my age, but he told me that I was the greatest partner that he had ever worked with in radio, because I ended up going from writing news in the afternoon drive, and I ended up co-hosting the morning show with the program director. So it was just so many good and decent and honest men that have been inspirations for me, man.
Well, just watching your work, I get it. Because again, I'm not trying to give you flowers, but you're very smart, you're very clever, and you speak with a great diction. And that's not normal, right? It's not normal. Most people, but even back in the day, we had the boss jock and they'd come in like this, and you wouldn't even really hear what they were saying, but you just felt their energy, right? Well, you have that clear, concise thing that if you're doing a morning show, I could absolutely see doing a morning show with you, because you're clear and concise, and I can depend on you to be who you are.
Remember Shotgun Tom Kelly? Remember that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he would get on the air every day and do that. The days of the boss jock. Don't you miss the days of the boss jock?
Man. Jackson Armstrong, 13Q, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Real Michael Steele, right? Michael Steele. As a matter of fact, I took Michael Steele's name. I was in traffic. I ultimately got on the air, and I was doing traffic, and there was another guy coming into the market in San Diego, and he called himself the new guy for a year. And then it was this big reveal that he was going to reveal his real name, right? Well, the competing radio station that I worked with found out what his real name was. So they named me Michael Steele. They renamed me, right? I didn't even have my own name. So you remember back in the old days when radio stations used to do this kind of stuff, this gimmicky stuff. Radio was fun.
Yeah.
It used to be. Well, it's not anymore. Radio's not fun anymore, folks. But so I said, well, you know what? If you're going to call me Michael Steele and he's going to reveal himself to be Michael Steele, you better call me the real Michael Steele. And then that was an homage to the real Don Steele. Remember Don Steele?
I remember the real Don Steele.
Yep.
And here in the North Bay, here in San Francisco, everybody likes Dr. Don Rose. And then there was Bill Lee at KFRC. I mean, all these legendary names.
Oh, man.
And that was, I'll tell you, one of my favorite radio stories. I used to work in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and there was a guy named John Steele. And, but he wasn't the same thing. But he was telling me he used to work in Shreveport. He goes, they hired this morning man, and he'd been on the air for about 2 months. And then he noticed he would get up and go in to watch him do the show. And then he noticed other people started showing up at 6 a.m. to watch this guy work.
Wow.
And the entire staff got where they would show up at 6 a.m. to watch this guy do his show. His name was George Carlin.
Wow. George Carlin.
In Shreveport, Louisiana. He goes, it was the craziest thing you've ever seen. He goes, I've never seen it. And again, the radio background right? And being able to create that theater and create that stuff. It's amazing. But see, you had the TV option. And I'm not trying to denigrate myself, but TV was never an option. I'm one of those guys, the less you see me, the better I look, baby.
Oh, come on.
If you can't see me, I am a hot rockin' love bomb.
we're doing a video podcast. Come on.
Yeah, because I'm at that age now where it no longer matters.
You don't give a damn.
You know, but when you're 23, 24, I had this happen. I was doing an appearance one time, and this lady comes up, she has this face. She goes, "Are you Gary?" And I went, "Oh, no, I'm the guy who cleans up. He left a long time ago. He came in and gone."
No.
I did. I promise you. It was in Pueblo, Colorado. I promise you I did. I was like, no, he's out of here.
That's my favorite line. Are you Chris Salcedo? You know, I get that a lot.
Well, you are the Chris Salcedo from Newsmax, and your new book, and you've got radio, you got podcast, you just got your TV show, and you got your new book, The Rise of the Liberty Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. And I love how you present yourself. I love the fact that you make the argument, especially in the minority community, that people are being called bigots if they don't agree with a certain side.
True. The divide. This is the problem. I'm going to let a secret in to everybody that's watching. The dividing line in this country, it may have been racial at one time. It's not anymore, and it hasn't been for many, many moons. And in fact, even back then, race was used as a dividing line for politics. There is only, well, I call it America first versus America last. If you want to really drill down into what it is, it's those who want to enslave people and those who don't want to be slaves. That is the ideological battle. The racial stuff, the LGBTQ stuff, the trans stuff, which is we can get into it if we want, which is a fabrication. There is only an estimated 48,000 people who actually suffer from gender dysphoria in this country. The millions who call themselves trans, it's just a blanket political label because the Democrats needed an aggrieved population. We talk about all of this in the rise of the Liberty Loving Latino because it was a lot of this confluence that said to Latinos, for example, men can have babies, they were being told. And they're like, what? And Latinos said, no. Oh, no, the left-wingers are saying yes. And if you want to be a good Democrat and you want to vote Democrat, you better accept that men can have babies. We were told that men can be women and women can be men, that men belonged in women's sports. And the Latino community said, no, that's just not right. And that's why a majority of males voted for President Trump nationally, 54%. And then in places like where I live, in Texas, the great state of Texas, the majority of Latinos voted for President Trump. And you saw, if you look at the demographic map that's along the Texas border, that in 2020, it was all blue counties. In 2024, they all flipped red because they were tired of being destroyed by a left-wing mindset, a slaver mindset that the Democrat Party embodies in this country. They're present all over the world, Gary. The left-wing mindset is present all over the world. They just happen to call themselves Democrats in America.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. You see in Britain. I don't know if any government hates their people more than Britain does.
Well, look at France.
Well, France, but I mean, but in Britain, you can't make a factual statement.
I know.
Without the fear of the police showing up. I mean, if you sit back and say, "Wow, there's these gangs," or there's young women being attacked, or even, and you have people look it up, kids. If you don't believe me, it is a government thing. So much to the point that what was the London police chief who was all on board, and then it finally got out of hand where even he had to go, "Hey, y'all, really?" Yeah. It's amazing to me.
Well, if you pray in the wrong place, you can be arrested inside of Great Britain. Did you see what Keir Starmer announced? That you will not be able to work in the United Kingdom unless you have a digital ID.
Wow.
That was announced today, as you and I are recording this podcast. Those of you who have any knowledge of the book of Revelations and what that portends, folks, that Europe has fallen. Europe is in a state of collapse. They are no longer Western civilization. We have very little in common with those over in Europe these days. And that's just what Gary and I have been talking about, just a couple of examples.
It's, and the revolution is going to have to come from within. I mean, the fact that when you talk about the transgender and J.K. Rowling.
Oh, yeah.
You look at J.K. Rowling, who by nobody's definition would she call herself conservative. Nope. By nobody's definition. And the fact that she did not fall in line. And I would be just as scared if this was a right-leaning thing, right? That if you don't fall in line, then you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be threatened with violence. Yep. I mean, it's crazy. We talk. I jump around so much because I'm just so fascinated in getting your opinions on this. But as you were saying, the race things, I have a buddy of mine. He goes, I don't even think it's a race thing. I said, really, what do you think? He goes, I think it's a class thing. He goes, I think it's a class, the monetary thing. And so we're trying to say, hey, listen, if you don't have all the money you want, that's sexism.
He's close. He's close.
Really?
It's a class thing, but not the class he's probably thinking of. It's ruling class versus the country class. You know who wrote about this? And Rush Limbaugh, miss him every day. Rush Limbaugh talked about this. Codevilla is his last name. I believe his first name is Richard. And he wrote an essay about this. And the country class it's the country class against the ruling elites, the ruling class. That's the class that separates us. Who dominates the elitists in this world? Left-wingers. Those who believe that the elite few rule over the many. And it's antithetical to the American experience. It's antithetical to the U.S. Constitution. That's why the leftists, whatever they've called themselves, Democrats, Whigs, whatever, what they have been calling themselves since the formation of this country and the Constitution, they've been trying to undo its protections. And they came scaringly close in the last regime, under the Biden regime. President Otto Penn, yes.
What do you think? I mean, what's the end game for them? Because listen, every revolution we've ever seen, they feed upon themselves. You can't. That's what kills all revolutions, right? That like Fidel Castro got rid of everybody but his brother, and he had suspicions about his brother. Yeah. Look at Kim Jong-il. I mean, I'll kill my uncle. I'll do all of this. Sooner or later, you start not even trusting the people closest to you. So what's the end game?
It's the end game. They actually believe that there's a utopia at the end of this communist rainbow, this leftist rainbow. They actually believe that if you people would just accept to be ruled, then everything's going to be great. I mean, this is what they teach. They're teaching our kids in GovEd. This is what they're teaching our kids in so-called institutions of higher learning. If you would just give up your desire to look out for your own best interest, which is not selfish, that's self-interest. There's a difference between those. If you would just give up your ideas of freedom, then everybody would be happy. And it's never worked out in human history because there's always an elite few that ends up being happy and the masses end up being miserable. But they've convinced left-wingers. I'm just talking with, do you know who Sean Farash is, Gary?
Yeah.
Sean Farash, for those of you who don't know, is a comedian, a guy that does the best Donald Trump impersonation ever. And he's out there, and I'm not going to do it justice. It's going to suck, but just fair warning. He's out there saying, it's me, Donald Trump, and I think we ought to not be showering with our toasters. He was lampooning Democrats who were out there. President Trump says, not a good idea if you pop Tylenol while you're pregnant. Just take caution. Probably shouldn't do that. The Democrats start popping pills, right?
Yeah.
President Trump says, I don't think we'd be shutting the government down. What do the Democrats do? Say, we don't want a government shutdown. It's like, you can't make this stuff up. And so Trump is living rent-free. Sorry, I had to adjust my chair there because I was sinking. So yeah, President Trump is living rent-free in these people's heads. And they are so contrarian because they know what he represents is standing in their way. America First stands in the Democrats' way. They can't have it and they won't have it. And that's why I don't believe our country ought to give them another chance at power. And that's what we talk about in the book. The rise of the Liberty Loving Latino. You're looking at the greatest political shift since the formation of the Republican Party, where millions of Latinos said, we're no longer with the socialists, the Marxists, the left-wing kooks. We are switching over and we're not going Republican. We're going to vote Republican this time. We're going America First. We're going with Trump. And he pulled it off. And that's the book is structured around my interview, my October interview before the election with President Trump in Las Vegas. So that's kind of the point of departure where we launch all the discussions. And I had some help in organizing it from a guy by the name of Matthew Klickstein, because it was 10 years of my radio show, plus the interview with President Trump, plus everything I've been doing on TV the last 6 years at Newsmax, trying to condense it into a book, into cohesive ideas.
Yeah.
So we played off on the rise of terminology. So one chapter is the rise of the unimpeachable, the rise of whatever, the rise of this and that. So it's all a play on the main title. And we looked at concepts that the left has been trying to basically make mainstays in American society. And the Latinos were instrumental in shredding all of those and throwing their lot in with those who love freedom. And it was incredible.
Well, and you're seeing a seismic shift in so many things. I mean, 40% of women under the age of 30 voted for Donald Trump in the last election.
Right.
I mean, wrap your head around that. And I did this before I came on. I just wanted to see. I pulled up ChatGPT and I said, "Is network news biased?" And it gives me this big long thing, and in the end, it goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, it's like the words you use when Charlie Kirk was assassinated: provocateur, antagonizer. I mean, and by the same token, what was it? Somebody on the left that died, or one of their heroes, and it was like a fighter for freedom.
Yeah. Trump was asked by one of these left-wing kooks in the press, who's next after Comey got indicted, right? Who's next? As if he's the one that's driving this, not the DOJ. They never asked Joe Biden, who, by the way, is on record admitting that he wanted to target and arrest Donald Trump and he wanted to put him in jail, right? They never asked Joe Biden who's next, as all of the Trump supporters were being harassed and jailed and impoverished by an oppressive and non-lawfully based DOJ. The Democrats never get asked those types of questions. Only conservatives are America first, folks. And the idea that we don't notice these things, they think they're clever, and they're not. They're not. And the Latinos figured it out.
And it's going around. I mean, it's going around. And you saw last year, the year before, how the San Francisco School Board, the Asian and Indian community, binded together and kicked the people off.
Yes.
Because they wanted to get rid of merit-based school. Right. And so it's like, again, it's the revolution from within and taking them for granted. Right. And that's what they did with Latinos. That's what they did with African Americans. That's what they've done with anybody. They take you for granted.
Well, another one of the bits that I cover in the book, the left wing, and this goes back to what we were talking about with the actual dividing line that your friend was bringing up. The left wing, they're for blacks. Well, until they don't need blacks anymore. Right. They're for Latinos until Latinos start voting for Trump. They did this in my home state of Texas. They redid the maps out here in Texas, the redistricting.
Yeah, gerrymandering. The whole thing that's the word that we hear in California right now.
Yes. And I know it's really big out there in the People's Republic of California. By the way, born and raised in San Diego, so I can speak credibly about that. So anyway, in Texas, the Democrats actually went on record saying, we don't want to give Latinos a voice because they're voting the wrong way now. They actually said that. They fled the state of Texas to stop the maps from being implemented because they so did not want to give Latinos who were now voting Republican a voice. They did it with the gays, right? Remember the Pulse nightclub?
Yeah.
Pulse nightclub. A jihadist shows up, shoots up all the gays. Gays are out there saying, what gives here? And the biased press says, well, you can't blame the Islamists, and the gay people go, what? Because, there's a pecking order chart.
Yeah.
And then the press was, wait a minute. Oh no, we're getting in trouble. So we'll just blame the gun. And then what did the gay community do? They went out and bought guns. So the whole point is that the left wing chews up and spits out special interest groups that they use to divide this country, because that's how they acquire power. That's how left wingers throughout human history have acquired power, is division. the greatest threat to the United States of America is the Democrat Party because they don't believe in a United States of America.
I saw Hillary Clinton today with an
I'm
interview today. I
sorry.
don't know if you saw it, which it was an interview. She saw it, and she said, democracy is on pause right now
Oh my gosh.
because you didn't elect us. So
Right.
if we're not elected, then it's not democratic. Democracy is on pause. And here's my thing: I am not an ideologue. I vote by values, right?
Right.
And the one thing I loved about the whole Epstein thing is it showed that we're willing to criticize. The people who criticized Trump the hardest was people who were on the right side,
Yes.
right? That's the people who came after him. But you're not allowed to criticize whatsoever. And the fact that she would say, well, you guys, unless we're here, then democracy's on hold. And when Joe Biden got elected, listen, as I said it on my radio show, that's my president. I'm pulling for it. I want the best to happen. I've done that ever since I've been voting. I never sit back and go, gosh, I hope they fail. Gosh, I hope this. I hope that it goes well, but it hasn't.
No.
And I think with the Joe Biden, when we can see it, don't believe your lying eyes.
Yes.
And we can see right there, and you're telling us, no, it's
something else in the book. We brought this up. It's actually in the beginning pages where the Latino community in particular, but I think all Americans had this, is we were sitting there saying there's something wrong. And from the podium, whether it be Jen Psaki or Karine Jean-Luc Picard, they were out there saying, no, everything's fine. And no, we the people are telling you things are not fine. No, everything's fine, they would tell us. And it's the antithesis of a government of, by, and for the people. And I hate to break it to Hillary Clinton. The United States of America is not a democracy. We are a constitutional representative republic. In a democracy, your rights can be voted away. In a democracy. In a representative republic, they cannot be. A constitutional representative republic says your rights are sacrosanct, and no matter who you put in power, those rights cannot be abridged. That's the United States of America. Hillary Clinton is wrong. Democracy isn't on hold because democracy was never part of the United States of America. We are a constitutional representative republic. Our rights cannot be touched by government so long as government obeys the rules and are made to obey the rules.
There is so much going on right now, and I cannot talk to you without bringing up the Charlie Kirk thing.
Sure.
And if the news covered it for about 2 days. Really, I'm talking about ABC, CBS, NBC. They covered it for like a couple of days, and then they tried to shuttle it back as much as they could. And then when you look online and see stuff and see polls and stuff like that, it seems like that was a big moment, a bigger moment than they want to recognize.
It was. And you're right. The fake news didn't cover it. And it showed you, and still the saturation around the country, you couldn't bump into a person who didn't know about it. Do you know why? It's because I think what Elon Musk said was true. X is the new media. X is now the media. Social media is now the media. Newsmax. My friends at the Karl Rove Never Trump Network, they covered it to their credit. One America News, all of those are now out shouting, and not by a little, ABC, NBC, CBS, because they've been relegated to fake news status. They are fake news. They are the embodiment of fake news. And the Charlie Kirk assassination, I think the Charlie Kirk assassination, and this is where I'm a conservative. I'm not a partisan. I'm a conservative. I don't have a party. I think what we have seen, as a matter of fact, I just put it on the podcast today. The podcast title is Extremist Democrats plus Timid GOP equals Political Assassinations. This country is enduring political assassination because of the extremism of the left and the unwillingness or the inability of the Republican Party to hold them accountable. Full stop. And the Latino community gave Republicans a huge victory and a huge chance, and they would be stupid to squander it. And I can tell you, as we're now 9 months in to the Republican-controlled Congress, they've done an awful lot of squandering. They may be dragged over the finish line by President Trump and everything that he's been trying to do by himself. But a cautionary tale to those of you who call yourselves Republicans in elected office. We are watching you and we are seeing you do everything you possibly can to make sure the Democrats escape culpability for laws they potentially broke, for trust they certainly did break with the American people. And if you're not careful, Latinos are not, they're going to look at results and they're going to go where results are found. And if they can't find it in the Republican Party, they'll go someplace else.
Well said and powerful. And that's why don't they? Why are they timid? Why does Ilhan I can't even say her name, really. Ilhan Omar, she can say the most vile things.
Yes.
And everybody will just go, you know.
Well, Gary, what happened to George Santos?
George Santos, for lying, right? Doing the stuff and saying the wild stuff, the crazy.
He was indicted. Let's be fair. He was indicted on white collar crime, right? He was indicted. The Republicans voted not once, not twice, 3 times to get rid of George Santos. So it was all the Democrats with enough fake Republicans to throw him out. So they expelled him from Congress, and he had 1 fewer Republican in there. Now you've got LaMonica MacGyver, who's indicted. What is her crime? She is on camera roughing up ICE officers. Those same Republicans that moved heaven and earth to get George Santos kicked out, they have no desire to kick her out. She can be under indictment all she wants. Jamal Bowman, he pulled down the fire alarm. He actually admitted in a court of law his guilt. He was a convicted criminal, and no Republican wanted to kick him out of office. You've got Delia Ramirez, who is a loudmouth leftist Latina, who went on foreign soil and declared her allegiance for Guatemala. She's a sitting congresswoman. She says she is has allegiance to Guatemala over the United States, she said, on foreign soil and in Spanish. Yet no Republican thinks it's untoward to have a Democrat who's pledged loyalty to another country serving in the U.S. Congress.
Why is that? Why? Where's this timidity? Where is this? What do they fear?
Sterling Oak Cabinetry has one goal: to build the cabinets of your dreams. They literally specialize in custom cabinetry. No cookie cutter, everything looks the same stuff that you find at the big box stores. Your kitchen is the centerpiece of your home, and your home is your biggest investment. They can work with you or your designer to build just what you want with the materials and finish that you want. And because they're a brand new company, they'll be getting busier and busier. But if you order right now, they'll get your order to you in 6 to 8 weeks. In the world of cabinetry, that's blindingly fast. Contact Rob Scovman at RSKOVMAND at yahoo.com or go to sterlingoakcabinetry.com and get your dreams made reality tomorrow.
Because it all boils down to fear. What do they fear?
And that's probably the dirty little secret, that the Republicans who are giving the majority of the conservative Republican Party pause are the fakes. Those who are moderates, squishes, who actually really are Democrats. They just can't get elected in the districts where they come from in their blue states, like New York. So they really are Democrats. Don Bacon is really a Democrat. I believe Mike Lawler is actually a Democrat. They just can't get elected unless they declare themselves to be Republicans. And it's the quintessential Republican in name only, fake Republicans. And the margin is so thin that there are no unifying principles in the Republican Party right now, meaning there is nothing they will all stand up and say, this is unacceptable. They can't even come together and condemn a Democrat congresswoman who pledges allegiance to a foreign country. So you tell me what unifying principle is enough to get Republicans to come together in opposition to Democrats? There is not one that I can identify. And that's,
can you imagine if Ted Cruz did that?
Oh,
can you imagine if Ted Cruz went to, I don't know, Argentina?
Yeah.
And said,
He's Cuban. So
yeah, but I just picked a country.
Yeah,
You know,
let's go to Cuba. Well, he never would, by the way, because he despises communists, which is the right thing to do. But yeah, if he went to Cuba and said the same thing, absolutely, they would fry him. Absolutely.
I don't even care. Pick a country, Brazil or Germany and Britain. If you said that as a member of government, an elected guy, who would expect to win? That's the thing. She doesn't fear her own voters. She doesn't fear her own voters.
No, her own voters actually are probably in line with her. But that's if the voters say, "Hey, we want to put in an axe murderer in Congress," you think that's appropriate? You think that ought to be allowed? Hey, how about we the voters of the District of America want to put in the president of Russia as their representative in Congress? Are they just going to go, "Hey, that's cool, that's great, let's just do that"? There is a red line, and I think the red line is when you're pledging allegiance to a foreign country. That's the red line. But no majority of Republicans, and the current majority can come together and say that because of those fake Republicans I mentioned. It's not all of them. I would say the vast majority, every Republican I've talked to, says that's unacceptable. Yeah, but they also know the political reality. They got about 10, 15 in the House of fake Republicans who will, and plenty more in the Senate, who will always go to bat. Lisa Murkowski. I'll give you an example. Lisa Murkowski, this woman voted for Democrats, gave money to Democrats, and supported Democrats in the last election. And she calls herself a Republican and is backed by Mitch McConnell. That's the problem we have here. I'm not talking about purity tests. I'm just saying, seriously, stand for something. What does Lisa Murkowski stand for? Nothing. Anything that keeps her in power. And you know how she got into the Senate with a write-in campaign. Yeah, because that works all the time, right? There's nothing crooked about that at all. Nothing at all. Oh, man, alive. So, yeah.
And it's amazing. I do want to get your take on this. What is Kamala Harris trying to do? What is she trying to do? Because she's already said she won't run for governor of California because she can't. She can't. She is so bad. I don't mean as just a human being because I don't know her. I don't. Huh?
She's so bad. How bad is she?
The fact that she had. Did you see that guy, that podcast host that she did very few podcasts, and she went and recorded with this podcast host, and he called her people and said, "I will not run this podcast because I don't want to be blamed for her losing the election."
Yes.
And this was somebody who was on her side.
Yes.
Right? And so
I'm like, with Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow confronted a stanza in her book saying, "Hey, you said you didn't pick Mayor Pete Buttigieg as your running mate because he was gay." And then she went on a 2.5-minute word salad that we've all grown to despise and expect on why she wrote that. Because and tried to weasel her way out of it. Dude, if I had for coronated Kamala, if I had an explanation for what she was about or what she stands for, I think I might win a prize, a Nobel Prize or something like that. I can't figure her out. There is no redeeming value for that woman. None.
There was no redeeming value at all. I mean, 2 words, Willie and Brown. That's it. That's it. Right. And when you sit back and you're in California and you know what happened there, and she's been bad. And I've got friends who used to work in Washington, and they still had friends when they were at the White House, and they were like, her turnover rate on her staff is like 90% because people get in there as true believers, and then they find out what she's like, and they're like, no, we're good. We're good. We're by.
Not even leftists can stand her company. So yeah, you brought up Willie Brown. So I stand corrected. There is one value that Kamala Harris has. Just ask Willie Brown about it, folks, and he'll tell you what that is.
I just can't figure out why she's trying to keep her name. Do you think she's hoping that if a Democrat wins the next election, that she'll get that mythical Supreme Court nominee?
No,
I mean, I heard that floated one time because she could be a Supreme. Can you imagine? I mean,
hey,
we already got one Supreme Court justice who can't tell you what a woman is.
Exactly.
I mean, we already got one.
Brown Jackson can if a woman who doesn't know what a woman is can get on the Supreme Court, anybody can get on. A ham sandwich can get on the Supreme Court. So yeah, I mean,
They're so afraid of saying the wrong words. I mean, I was like the Jimmy Kimmel thing, right?
yeah.
And the Jimmy Kimmel thing, and I Adam Carolla, right? If you ever listen to Adam Carolla and stuff, good friend of Jimmy, and he sits back and says, "That's not the guy I know. I can't hate him because that's not the guy I know." And I've heard from a number of people that he's a great guy. He's a great guy, but if you started making $20-30 million a year, you'd want to keep that job, and you can't say certain things, or otherwise you're not going to keep that job. And that's the thing, that you've got to say the right thing or you're gone.
See, and that's not comedy. That's not comedy. Johnny Carson was an equal opportunity offender. Jay Leno, equal opportunity offender. I'm looking right at him. Dave Chappelle, equal opportunity offender. Comedy is nobody's off limits when you're a comedian. Nobody's supposed to be off limits, but they are, because the woke, just like the jihadist movement, takes it very, very seriously when you make fun of them, right?
Yeah.
So look, man, and they have similar tactics as we now see. The jihad kills those who make fun of them, as does left-wingers now, as we have seen with the Charlie Kirk assassination and the violence undertaken in this country. Again, right back to my original equation: extremist Democrats plus timid Republicans equal political assassinations. And that's a reality in America that sadly nobody wants to see, in particular those of us in the Latino community, but anybody who considers themselves to be an American. Nobody wants to see it. These people are a tyrannical minority, and they should never be given power over us ever again.
And you can't hide it anymore, right? I mean, I love the fact that when they tried to besmirch Charlie within minutes of being shot, when you had Katie Tur come on and go, well, it could have been somebody in his crowd that was just so excited and they shot a gun toward him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we do time. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they fired Matthew Dowd, but they didn't fire her. Why? How does she still have a job?
I have Katie Tur is one of the most vacuous individuals. Again, I guess that's the cachet over there. The more simplistic, the more vacuous you are, the more non-inquisitive you are, the better they like it. I guess it makes you more malleable, so you can spout the talking points that the Democrat Party wants you to spout. I don't know. Again, I can't figure out Kamala Harris. I can't figure out MSNBS. I don't know what makes them tick. And frankly, I don't care. I just want to defeat them. I have no qualms with MSNBS getting out there and flapping their gums. They can say whatever they want, as long as they do not have power over me and mine. And I'll tell you, Gary, that's coming into this next primary election cycle. That's my only criteria. And I think a lot of Americans are having this same criteria. How well have you defended me and mine from these left-wing kooks? That's the only way you're going to be judged. So all you Republicans out there, if you can't point to how you've protected your constituents, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
Because you can't hide it. That's my point. I mean, Elon Musk is right. And no matter what you say, there's going to be video of it, and it'll be played over and over and over again. And Jimmy Kimmel was averaging 125,000 a night. He had 6 million who came in to watch his apology.
No apology. He never apologized.
Yeah. Well, he cried for himself.
Yes.
And somebody asked me today, they're like, if you could have a dream or you could get anybody to talk to? I said, I'd like to have an hour with Jimmy Kimmel.
Wow.
And not to yell at him, just to sit back and go, remember when you said this about Roseanne? Remember when you said this? When you said that? Why didn't you cry the day he got shot? Why was it until after his wife forgave his killer, and therefore you said, and forgive me too? Forgive me too. Well, because you didn't offer an apology. You didn't do anything. I just want to know your thought process. Make me understand. Is it so important that your side wins the verbal game, that you can't look at this tragedy that happened, that the vast majority, don't believe the weirdos who get on social media and videotape themselves laughing and singing and high-fiving over a young man's death. They're that big. The algorithm's going to show you what pisses you off. But there's only that many. The majority of us were horrified. I literally had to cancel all my shows that week.
Dude,
because I didn't. Everyone that I had scheduled, I'm like, I can't do it.
never going to be the same. That video changed me. How can it not? And by the way, my dream interview with the other side is not even the other side anymore. We find ourselves agreeing more than not is Bill Maher. Would love to sit down and have a conversation with Bill Maher.
That would be fascinating because he would sit back and say, I haven't changed, with the old Ronald Reagan line.
Yeah.
I was a Democrat. Why did you change? Well, I didn't change. They did.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody changed but me.
Yeah. The Democrat Party left me, he would say.
Yeah. And you sit back and still see that where it's just like his take on it. Bill Maher is very interesting to me because he still wants to throw out the left side thing. But even then, once you go off script, they'll never take you back in. What have we learned in the last 20 years? Don't apologize.
Yeah.
Never apologize. And that's what Jimmy Kimmel's doing. I won't apologize. Because if you do, especially if you're on the right, if you have you don't even have to write. You can be as centrist as the world is. And if you apologize, they're going to take you down. They're just going to keep running you through.
Well, for me, have at it. I make mistakes. And when I do, I apologize for it or I correct it. I mean, that's what a man does. I know it's not what Jimmy Kimmel does, but it's what a man does. So, by the way, speaking of Reagan.
Yeah.
This was a hit at a birthday party I went to. One of the jokes I remember from Ronald Reagan, I don't know how often have you ever watched YouTube? And it's not good for free speech, but it's good for watching some funny stuff. All the comedic moments of Reagan. There was one joke he told, and Californian. I'm a native Californian. I'm now a Texan. I would never go back to California if you paid me. But he was talking about this guy he was driving down the road and he looks out his window and he sees a chicken running beside his car. Have you heard this joke?
No.
Okay. So the guy looks out and he sees this chicken running beside him. He's doing about 45. So this guy, floors it. All of a sudden he's doing 55. There's the chicken keeping up, still doing, matching his speed. So he's like, wow, puts it up to 60. The dang chicken is still keeping pace. And then the chicken floors it, goes past him, goes over across the side of the road into a farm. And the guy says, what the? So he pulls off into the farm and he sees this guy there and he says, hey, mister, don't take this the wrong way, but did you see a chicken run through here? Guy says, yep. A chicken's my chicken. We breed them. And he goes, really? Well, why is that chicken so fast? Well, they have 3 legs. He goes, you breed 3-legged chickens? Yeah. We Ma and me, we got tired of fighting over the drumstick with Junior, so decided to start breeding 3-legged chickens so we could all have a drumstick. And he goes, well, how do they taste? Don't know. Haven't caught one yet.
Remember when Trump presidents used to tell jokes?
I know. Reagan was great. I missed that. I mean, the closest thing we've had to it. I mean, Trump will, I don't think he tells jokes. He just says funny. He's just natural stream of conscious, funny stuff.
What was that like? The one thing that I admire about him, and even the left they won't say it, but they have to admire it. He will sit down and talk, and he doesn't care who you talk. Who's that? Oh, Christine Walker, when she went and sat down for an hour, and you could tell she was like ready to. And by the end, I think she had a bit of a crush.
Yeah, Welker. I mean, she's a lefty, yeah, but she's not a diehard. She don't like the. What did Rush Limbaugh call him? Chuck U. Todd Chuck Todd, one of these committed leftists. Jonathan Karl, extreme left winger. The Democrat pretending to be a news anchor over at ABC, Snuffleupagus. So, I think she's not as idiomatic as those left wingers are, but yeah.
But the fact that he was, when you sit down and talk to him, what's it like? Because I haven't been in the room with him. I haven't ever been in the room with a president. So what's that like?
I've got to be honest with you, man. It is nothing I have experienced before in my life. And that's not me saying as a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And I write about this in the book. I write about the experience because, what is the knock on Trump about some of the things he says, right? The knock on Trump is that he's not really well educated, which, you can look at old tape of him. He's incredibly well educated. He has, and you can see the process, the gears turning in his head. He's thinking of stuff so fast. It's what this whole stream of consciousness thing is about. And he just can't get it out fast enough. That's the impression that I had when I sat with him. Everything is firing on all cylinders. He is very much wants to guide the conversation, but not in a way that says he doesn't want to hear what you have to say. He just wants to make sure that he's not misunderstood. And so, but I talk about this in the book, that I had all this, this is what you do. You over prepare for a presidential interview, stacks and stacks and stacks of questions. Before I could even get to any of the stuff that I knew were major issues in the election, illegal immigration and all that, and the economy and all that. He wants to talk about what happened at my alma mater, San Diego State. He wants to talk about this volleyball match. And you might remember there was a volleyball match here last year between one team with a trans individual on it, a male pretending to be a female. And he spiked that ball really, really hard. It, boom, nailed that girl in the face. She went flat, ricocheted, hit another girl. Trump saw that video. And that's what he wanted to talk to me about that morning. I don't know if he remembered I was from San Diego State or originally from San Diego.
Yeah.
He wanted to talk about it because he knew the American people were talking about it and how outrageous and how crazy it was to allow men in women's sports. And, he referenced this little girl that was from a previous volleyball match who has still to this day suffering neurological damage from a spike in the face she took from a male, right? So sitting in that room with him, and the first thing he does, he just comes in, here comes the entourage, and he bypasses me, bypasses my producer, everybody else, goes to the lighting crew and the camera crew. Hey, how you all doing? He starts shaking. He knows the apprentice veteran. He knows these are the guys who are going to be lighting him, making him look good. So he goes and talks to them first. I'm standing. He gets to me last, really. Yeah. Sees a "Make America Great" hat again on one of the guys, and I write about this. He says, "Hey, this guy's got an old hat. Go. We need to get this guy a new hat." He takes the old hat, he signs it. This is before we even do the interview. He signs it, and then he says, "Yeah, go get this guy another hat. I'll sign that one for him too." And this guy's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. I got 2 signed hats from President Trump." And so they go out and they had to go find a hat somewhere in Trump Hotel in Las Vegas where he had a stash of MAGA hats. And then he finally gets around to me, and I introduce my producer, and he says, "I really don't need to do this interview." I go, "Yes, Mr. President, I know. I've been after this for a long time." He goes, "Because we're right today. I really don't need to do this. This is, Steve Miller here speaks so highly of you. This is I've talked to the president 3 times on radio, but he's done so many of these. I knew he wouldn't remember."
Yeah.
So, but what I did get a compliment from Miller after. Jason Miller, not Stephen Miller, Jason Miller. After the conversation, they said, out of all the interviews we've done for the last month, he really opened up with you. And he goes, he was very comfortable with you. And he goes, that's something that you should take pride in. And I do, that's how I do my interviews.
People, you treated them with respect.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the interview. You treated them with respect. You had your questions. You tried to press him on some things, but you never tried to catch him.
No.
Right? You would give him chances to answer and let him expound when he wanted to. And I'm like, that was, I can see why he enjoyed it. You could tell he enjoyed it when he was doing it.
Yeah. Well, it was, the feeling was mutual. And it's just something and I write about this in the book too. I was sitting in the lobby of the Las Vegas hotel, and I can only imagine what the people were going through. Because when he's there, the magnetometers are out, the conveyor belts to scan everybody's luggage. It's all out, the dogs, the extra police presence. You can't pull up to the hotel. You got to park like 300 yards away so they can scan your car. I mean, it's a whole deal. So I wondered what the patrons of the hotel had thought. They didn't care. They just wanted to see the president, right? And I'm sitting in there and I'm looking at this just beautiful hotel. And I'm thinking to myself, no Democrat could build something like this. No Democrat builds anything. Their main job in our society is to tear things down, right? It takes a builder like Trump to build something this opulent, this beautiful, with a vision, a finer thing. And that's what he wants for the entire country. So that was one of the observations I made. One of the first observations that you're going to read when you read the book.
I know my time is evaporating with you because you're on the East Coast and it's late in the afternoon and you've got a family to get home to. But I do want to get your take on this. Who do you think the Democrats will run next? Do you think AOC? Do you think they'll be brave enough to do that? Or will Bernie Sanders still be alive?
I don't think it'll matter. I don't see anybody on their bench right now who has sufficient enough criteria to bring in. Nobody in the Democrat Party is talking about benefits for the United States of America and our people. Right now, they're threatening to shut down the government over illegal aliens right now. That's their primary concern. The message to America is clear. Democrats don't care about you. They care about foreign nationals, illegal aliens, China, foreign countries, and their benefit. They have no plans to benefit and improve the lives of the American people. So it doesn't matter who they run.
I just can't get over how they consistently choose to be on the, 80-20 thing. 80% of the people will agree on this. And no, we'll go with the 20.
True.
We'll go with 20 and that's it. And we'll win that way, right?
Trump derangement syndrome. It's real. It's real. I said to those ladies we mentioned earlier who are pregnant popping Tylenol, what if they find out that there is some sort of causal relationship and that maybe, God forbid, that one of their children is born with autism? Because 1 in 31 males are being born with autism. It's an astonishing rate, and it's only happening here in the United States. What if they come to find out that there's a causal relationship? We may have just seen a case of Trump derangement syndrome leading to the tragedy of autism. Think about that.
What's the old saying about something about bitterness or whatever? It's taking poison and hoping your enemy dies.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's exactly that's going on right there. And it makes reason stare where you're just like, I don't know. Chris, I have so enjoyed this. I've been looking forward to it. I'm glad we finally able to get the chance together. The book is The Rise of the Liberty Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. All of his socials, we've got them on there. You'll find him online. You'll find him at Newsmax. Listen to the radio show, the podcast. My friend, this has been a delight. I hope we can do it again.
All right, Gary, you invite, I will be back.